Taurus, let's clear some smoke. We're going to take a look at, should you and your person get back together, what the energy is surrounding that. So let's get right on into it. Divine may have 3 cards regarding the energy of should Taurus and their person get back together. Crossing over. 2 more, please, Divine. Reassembling ruins and controlling. Okay, darling. Let's take a look. So in the mental energy surrounding this return, or should you guys reconcile, get back together, etc., etc., etc. Bridge the gap between your hearts with trust. So somehow, some way, and perhaps on both sides, trust was violated. One person maybe trust came into as a factor in terms of questioning it. The other person then perhaps maybe shattered it. Okay. There was an insecurity surrounding being able to trust someone romantically, and the other person then recognized it and somehow internalized it, and then in a self-sabotaging way perhaps shattered that for the person who was having a trouble crossing over that particular bridge with themselves. Okay. And the other person got angry potentially and internalized it, personalized it, didn't recognize it as an issue or a trigger that was and objectively, and yeah. Okay. And use it as an excuse to do what they wanted to do. Could be. Now at the center we have, which is in the environment, the energy in the environment is reassembling ruins, rebuilding that bridge of trust. From shattered pieces, gather strength to rebuild what was once broken. Okay, we just really kind of covered that. And then controlling. And this is in the spiritual space. At the center of things with you guys, the foundational energy. And power struggles lead to being manipulative. So at one point, the person who had issues with trust in regards to romantic relationships may have taken things to try to safeguard themselves, they thought they were building boundaries, but they were really building walls. And it was really keeping the other person out because it wasn't allowing this person to come in and provide care and concern. It was more so about providing this person access, like, well, if you don't do this, do that, you won't have access to me in that manner, versus having them come in and have a full, clear understanding of why you have the walls are actually boundaries, protective nature, and that this person, that you trusted him and believed in them and the relationship enough to bring them in and have them understand what was going on. But perhaps, again, that controlling energy, keeping them on the outside, let the person who has issues with trust believe that they were controlling the environment and thereby controlling themselves, which in reality, the only person you can control is yourself, which then allows you to have control of yourself over yourself in the environment. Okay. The other person was controlling in the sense of, well, on the outside looking in, trying to break down the wall, trying to get through the wall, trying to get up over the wall, trying to sneak in the wall, then just decided to act a fool outside the walls. Well, you don't trust me anyway. So I'm going to do X, Y, Z because what difference does it make? Blah, 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 blah. So they use that as an excuse to give them the green light. First they started as a yellow light. Then they went into a green light to have undesirable behavior. Okay, so let's see. Let's get to the details. All right, Taurus. Deep breath. Take a moment, center your energy, open mind, open heart. Let's get ready to see what you need to receive here. Divine, may I have 5 best cards for the cause of this energy regarding should Taurus and this person still be together? 5 best cards. So we have 5 of Wands, 5 of upright, 5 of Swords in reverse, Ace of Swords, 2 of Pentacles, And the Emperor. Okay. Let's see what we got, darling. We need a little more light here. Stand by. That's better. Okay. Two fives out, and they're an imposing energy. The Five of Wands is like fight or flight here. And fives are about change, expansion, and then conflict. And there's conflicting energy here because there's a person that still feels like there's something to fight about or fight for, both potentially. And the other person doesn't wants the flight. They want, if it's not what they want, or if they're not going to come in for a safe landing, if it looks like the winds are too high or anything else. Like, you have a pilot and let's say you're coming in as an example, and you're on a flight and the weather is bad and you need to get on that runway on the and it's raining, high winds, and the pilot has to land the plane. So you're going to trust this experience and the thousands of hours of flight time that the pilot has in order to bring you in safely. However, there are those who would say we're going to circle around until the weather has improved and we can't land here and we should go somewhere else, and then have everybody bust into the we'll land at a different airport where the weather is clear, and then everybody else will just have to get out the plane and we'll transfer the luggage and everything. That's not going to work. You would want to do that, but sometimes you have to go in the storm, and this person is trying to navigate that with the Five of Swords coming in reverse in a way. They want the ideal conditions, okay? Don't want to deal with the storm, want the ideal conditions. And if that means laying everything down and being to placate the person who is in conflict with this energy or this return, they'll do that. But reality is, Ace of Swords is here. What's necessary is the truth, to cut away at the things and be brave enough to stand in both places. The person who has the trust issue has to face the facts that that's something that you have to resolve, and you cannot put that on other people to resolve for you. And then the person who wants to have just, come back in and just slide on in and have nothing to deal with. No, you have to face with the fact that you were manipulative in the past, that you said you were going to do something, and that you was like, well, since you said it, now I have to prove you wrong, that you were strategizing and you were strategizing. You thought you were strategizing. Your strategy was going to bring you what you wanted, but in actuality, it separated you from everything. And most importantly, the opportunity to have a chance to prove to yourself that you were the right person for this relationship or this connection. In doing so, trying to prove to this person or show them what I'm going to show you, well, since you think that way, I might as well. The reality was you weren't ready for a commitment in that way, or there was something going on that you were in conflict, or you were afraid, or you just said, forget it. What's the point? It's no good at this. As soon as things got tough, you wanted to redirect and go to a place where things were going to get easy. And then you realized, grass is always greener where you water it. Two of Pentacles and the Emperor here. Wanting to bring things into balance. That's what you both want. To plant the seed of growth. However, it's a very delicate balance right now. Okay? Hence that fight or flight. The slightest little effort, both of y'all scatter to the wind. Right? But what you want to is you want to plant this seed in the center of the garden and build the garden around the root system of the tree. Okay, so that you can provide shade and build beautiful things all around you. First, you plant the seed, the tree grows at the center of things, kind of like the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden, right? Okay, but from eating from that fruit, you already know what that's going to taste like and what it's going to do. So it should stand as an example of you can still make something beautiful from past mistakes, but we do not have to sample that fruit because we already know what it's going to do. It stands as an example now that the fruit is a beautiful tree. It can provide shade. It still has a purpose, especially to the rest of the plants as well that are going to grow around it, but you cannot eat of this tree because that knowledge ruins things, right? The Emperor is here. I feel like this is representing you, Taurus. It is Dorian energy. But to remember to be a benevolent ruler. Okay? And most importantly, to have management and control over yourself. Before you attempt to provide control in your environment, you must first get control of yourself in any environment, including this one. It's going to be a tough thing for you to come in and have to deal with this person when they violated your trust, but it's also going to be a benevolent thing for you to understand that you were a contributing factor to your trust being violated. There was something that you were planting, seed that you put in that caused this. They had a forthcoming knowledge about this weakness, and you didn't display it as a vulnerability. You displayed it as a weakness. And when you did that, you succumbed to the past events. You hadn't resolved things. You didn't say it as a point of character or a point of standards in the relationship. You said it as a weakness, and please don't do this to me. Don't violate me. If this happens, I don't know what I'm going to do. You didn't manage yourself in that. You weren't ready yet to allow a person into your space enough to trust them, to trust yourself, that you had made the right decision, and even to trust yourself if this person goes the wrong direction. You have enough strength and energy and presence and substance and standards and character and integrity to make the right decision, even if that decision is painful for the both of you. Okay. So let's take a further look here. Let's get to the personal effects this energy is having on you, Divine. Now 4 more cards, please. Knight of Wands in reverse. 7 of Wands upright. 9 of Cups upright. Ace of Pentacles. And the 4 of Swords. This is nice. Good. And here's why I say that. You know, plane taking off. Or landing. So, Knight of Wands here in reverse. First word that is coming in is that you're resolute. You clearly understand what is required for you and what has to be said to you and done for you in order for you to accept this person's offer of reconciliation. Okay, just an offer doesn't mean you got to do it, but it's an offer of that. And you're willing to consider what they have to say, because at some point here, the 4 of Swords is clarifying the Emperor. You really do understand where you came up short for yourself in the situation. Okay, how you presented that you really had everything together, but in reality, you had everything together because you had shoved everything into the closet. It was disorganized. The room looked clean. You know, when you were a kid and your mama or your dad told you to clean up your room or you can't go outside. So you were like, okay. And you took everything and shoved it into the closet and closed the door and it looked neat. You made the bed and stuffed everything under the bed. But if they really took a closer look, open that door, they're going to get clobbered. Go into that bed, it's going to be like there's something dead under here. It looked clean and neat and tidy, but you realized it was just out of sight and therefore out of your mind, which made you think you had the control. But in 4 of Swords energy, the divine has been able to work with you in that space and let you understand you've really done a deep clean now. And you realize that you had some things to work on. Had this relationship not occurred, though, you wouldn't have known that. And so in this place, you're grateful for that. It was painful. It was uncomfortable. It was dissatisfactory. It was disappointing, etc., etc., etc. Ultimately, though, you came out better for it. Hence this Knight of Wands being in reverse. The energy is there of subtle anger and disappointment, but you know what that anger is attributed to. It's not just about you being mad at this person. It's a disappointment and an anger towards it wasn't handled the right way. That you two probably had a really good situation going on prior to the big blow up or the big fallout in regards to trust. And had it been handled properly, had you had the tools that you have now, the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding that you have now, wouldn't have gone this way. You wouldn't even be in the conversation of should we get back together. You would have soldiered on, the both of you. However, that's what relationships are here to do, to teach us about ourselves, to have us uncover the things that strengthen us and weaken us and just give us wisdom and knowledge in this game of life that we're playing, that we're all playing. Okay? The 7 of Wands here, clarifying the 5 of Swords energy in terms of your personal effect. And you have your right. You're well within your rights to be defensive towards this person, because we're not going to just skate over the fact, baby, that this person violated your trust. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to go out and be a dummy and be a crash test dummy and just see, well, I think I can walk away from this accident. So you're going to go out, willfully drive the car into a wall Okay. And then look at me to sympathize with you when you actually got in the car, started it with full intention to crash it into the wall, and then come to me and want me to, this shouldn't even be going on. So defend your, because you know the truth. No matter what you learned in the situation, the ugly side of this, the actions that they took were not your responsibility. And then to come to you and try to act like, oh, well, you have sympathy for me. Why would I? Well, it's your fault. It is not my fault. I did not tell you to get into this car and drive into the wall. And to prove my point. Dummy. Like you went out and did dumb things, play dumb games, get dumb prizes. Okay? And the prize was dumb. Respect lost unnecessarily. Everything that occurred after this person trying to be like, well, for F it, I'm gonna just do this dumb thing. It was like such a waste of time for everybody. Not to mention your reputation is damaged. Like, you know how hard it is to build a good reputation in this game, especially romantically, and then you went and did what? Well, you were just supposed to. No. Some things you just don't bounce back from. And you did not bounce back. There was no air in the ball. Then you have the Nine of Cups and the Eight, clarifying the Ace of Swords. And when you came into this space of the truth that the divine brought into you during the separation, when you guys were apart, and you really were able to look at things after you calmed down, after you got yourself managed, after you started praying and meditating about things, after you asked God, the divine, for guidance, you've come into a space of where you're very, very pleased with yourself emotionally. You're balanced, you're happy, you're in harmony, you're in alignment with yourself and what you want. Okay. And that's the truth of the matter. So whether you take this person back or not, you're not missing anything. They're not going to step in and fulfill some hole that they've left. They haven't left no hole. You've already covered over it and put some concrete on it too and been like, we done buried that. That's in the ground. That's dead. We done said we good. We done already had had that service and sent that situation on home to glory. We're not digging that back up. Okay. It's over. That part. So nothing this person does, whether you guys decide to reconcile, whether the energy pushes you towards that, because it is your choice, stay or go, whatever the case may be, you good. At the start of it, during it, and after the finish of it, however this is going to go. You're happy with yourself. Two of Pentacles, clarifying the Ace of Pentacles. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. You're ready to listen. Okay, remember the example of planting the seed. Here is the opportunity for both of you to make peace. Here's an opportunity for you guys to amend things. Okay? Let's finish this once and for all, because it's been hanging and lingering for both of you. Again, it doesn't feel like this was a situation. It was just like a tit for tat type of thing. It was silly. It was silly. And it was time wasted and unnecessary hurt feelings. But you both had to learn. It was a beautiful connection, especially with this Nine of Cups being here, and how you've been able to make peace and come into power with yourself and in alignment with the divine. You did get a lot of purpose from it. It caused you to it shook you because you cared so much about this person and you really didn't think that they would violate you in this way. But you learned the difference. You learned a lot of differences about yourself. You learned a lot. Okay? And for that, you are thankful. With this Ace of Pentacles, this is the divine give you an opportunity to rectify a situation. Because you feel like you have something to say to them too in regards to like, look, yeah, I was just, and then that caused me to do, and now I didn't mean to, So the Four of Swords, we clarified that with the Emperor. So yeah, this is a good opportunity for both of you all. A true, not necessarily just an apology, but a true, I'm sorry for my behavior, and I will rectify it moving forward, no matter how we choose to deal with each other. Put down, All right, so let's see. Divine, 4 cards for your guidance for our Taurus regarding this. King of Pentacles. Yoo-hoo! 8 of Wands. Magician in reverse. Uh-oh. And in the World card. Uh-oh. 2 of Cups in reverse on the bottom of the deck. Queen of Wands upright. It's on the top. So let's see. It feels like, dear Taurus, Taurus is my rising sign. And you had some things that you wanted to say. It's as much as about closure as an opportunity to evolve this connection too. But there are some things that you wanted to say. And now this person coming back around is giving you an opportunity for yourself to resolve some things within yourself about it, as well as with them. Because perhaps you got a little bit more disrespectful than you would have liked to. And it's always bothered you that you were so harsh with this person. Now, at the time, you couldn't prevent it because you were hurting, you were in pain, and we do a lot of things because anger is like a place I like to say is temporary insanity. Everything is wrong, but anything goes. And so you feel like however you handled it was a bit extreme, okay, in your version of extreme, and you really didn't paint yourself in the best light because Taurus is classy. If anything, Taurus is gonna keep it classy. Now Taurus may get out of pocket with you, but still, even when we get out of pocket, we tend to keep it classy. But sometimes we can be a bull in the china shop. We can take those horns instead of passing through like the matador and whatnot. No, we're going to put it right in you because the bull chooses to go through the cape. The bull at any given time could gore the shit out of that matador, right? Okay, but the bull chooses to play and go through the cape. Okay? Maybe you gored the person and that never sat right with you because reputation. King of Pentacles upright. And this is your opportunity. We have the Emperor and the King of Pentacles. Divine masculine energy is here. Okay? And both present in both parties. For you, I feel like the divine is letting you know that you are whole, you are complete, and it is up to you to decide whether or not, how you're going to pursue and move forward with this situation of this person coming to resolve things with you and to bring about solution and resolution to a piece of the puzzle that has been missing with you for a while. The Eight of Wands is upright. Expect that there's going to be a lot of conversation and fast moving towards the two of you all coming together physically to be in each other's energy for real. So it may be a challenge for you at first because this person with the Magician card in reverse is trying to hide and control the narrative in terms with that Five of Swords in reverse, how you guys are responding. For instance, they may try to play in the shadows and keep texting or setting up things and trying to get this to happen and get things to move forward. Again, setting up the stage so they come through. It's going to make sure that they're safe and that you really want to get back with them before they actually meet you in the physical form. That's not going to work. Don't allow that game to get played with you. You need to see this person. You need to read their language, their body language. You need to understand. You need to hear their voice. All of those things contribute to how you're going to respond to them spiritually. That is important. You must know if y'all's energy is in alignment, and you are not going to be able to get that shit from a text. Even if y'all FaceTime it. No, it needs to be physical presence. And if they're not willing to meet up physically, and I'm not talking about, it's up to you. Let me stay out of that. But you need to see each other in the physical presence. Preferably not just pulling up at each other's home. Like it needs to be a neutral ground where there are no memories. Okay? It needs to be a neutral space because that Magician in reverse is warning against that. Okay? And also to remember as well, when the Magician is on the board, we must be mindful of what we're saying, thinking, and doing, and to go into this situation with a clean slate for both of you. Don't bring your old energy in terms of being on guard because that's not who you are now. The Nine of Cups clarifying the Ace of Swords clearly says that. There's no threat. They're not going to hurt you or harm you because you know how to handle yourself. And for them vice versa to try to come in and stack the deck or try to make it seem like everything is cool and okay, like they're just going to sweep everything under the rug. No, you came together to discuss the terms, how things went awry, what the plan is moving forward, and then decide on should you move forward to try to reconnect. And then the World card is here. It's the beginning of a new cycle and a change. And letting the old go. Okay, notice how this at the center, remember that tree, that example used about planting a tree in the center. We know the fruit that this tree yields is not edible. but we also know that it's a part of our history, and we look at it as a shining example of how beautiful we are, but how we must always remain cognizant of the way that we can hurt each other. That's the knowledge, okay? Coming in. All right. Taurus, I hope this lesson was of help for you. I do appreciate you, darling. And remember, back then is not now. Always be in harmony with your surroundings. Stay sucker free. Hope to see you again.